All right, cool. All right, how you doing?
Good in you.
Yeah, how you doing?
He's talking to you, Shanenika.
I'm good.
What I just said.
Hey, Shanenika.
I said I can't hear what you said.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, yeah. Hi, hi. Hello, everybody. How
Hi,
you?
Bless.
How you doing? How you doing, Shanika or
I'm
Shanenika?
good. I'm good in you.
Shaneeka.
I say it's Shanenika, innit?
Does Jasmine say hi to you as well?
Hi, Jazzy.
Hi, Bless.
Why you hiding, Jazz? Are you wanted by the police? I can't see you.
I know I can't figure it out. My camera won't show my face.
It's all right. That's all right. Just in case you're wanted, you know, you don't might show your face. Ah, there she is. She's wanted by the police. Yeah, okay, not really. I'm only joking. Right. So who's on this? Who's on today?
Today the guest is Dejanay.
And what will you be talking about?
Beautiful pain and everything that she done went through.
Oh, she went for a lot of pain.
Yeah, beautiful pain. About how she turned her pain into something beautiful.
Okay, right.
She have a lot. She have a lot going on. Very successful black woman.
Okay. All right, then I'll leave that to you. Right. When you're ready.
Yes.
Take it away, Shaneeka. Thank you for coming on to Best Radio with Unity 5 platform.
Okay.
Off you go, babes. Off you go.
We're live.
Yeah, you're live.
Yes, you like.
Okay. Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in to Bless Radio on Unified Platform. I want you guys to tune in. Call 079-444-31366. We're coming from all the way from United States. I am your host today, Shanenika Lachey, and my co-host we have Jasmine Williams. And
Hey,
today our topic is going to be beautiful pain. We have our special guest. So I want you guys to tune in. Our special guest, her name is Dejanay Strengthfield, and she's gonna tell y'all a little bit about herself. Dejanay, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so Dejanay, tell the people about yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dejanay Stringfield, as Shanenika stated. I'm currently in Atlanta, Georgia. I reside with my husband. We kind of took a big leap of faith to move here. We were from Delaware. I spent all my life in Delaware. I'm an upcoming author. I haven't released anything yet. I'm working on a few projects. I'm a business person. I'm not sure what else I should say before getting into the interview.
Okay, so you said you took a leap of faith. What you mean by taking a leap of faith to come to Atlanta?
One day, my husband and I were just like, we wanted to go. We were newlyweds. We knew we wanted more than what was offered in our hometown. You know, we were like the to-go-to couple. And we just wanted our marriage to be just us. So we started applying for jobs in Atlanta. He's a musician, and I always wanted my administrative business to kind of kick off and be kind of famous. So we packed up everything, packed up our house, left our jobs, and we moved here. And literally on the road here, we got approved for housing. So we were really coming here expecting to go to maybe a hotel or something until something came through. So we really took a big leap of faith.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing, and a major step to just do something like that. So, do you have any family in Atlanta?
No, we don't. It was just us.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
How long have you been married?
We're just about to enter into year 4, so we're 3 years in.
Oh wow.
So, was this both of y'all decision or just one of y'all decision?
It was both. It was both of our decision. When he said it, you know how sometimes men, they say stuff and then they don't act on it. So when he said it, I put it into motion. I started applying for him and I at the same time, and we went from there.
Gotcha. That's amazing. So, what type of challenges did you face, like going through that transition? Because you got some people out here in the world that they always dream of being somewhere else. They want to get out of their comfort zone. So, what kind of challenges did you face going through that transition, if you had any?
So I think the first challenges we had. So we had started telling people. We got married in September. Around like October, we had started telling people that we were moving, and a lot of people had discouraged us for a long time. They were like, "No, don't move, don't move. You shouldn't go. You shouldn't go. You guys don't know anybody." So that prolonged us for a whole 9 months. In September of the next year, we.
I didn't want to scare you. I'm gonna close no gas pump thing.
So what we did was we just moved on our own. So a lot of the challenges that we faced moving was just kind of proving to people that we were ready. A lot of people didn't think we were ready because we were, again, newlyweds. We didn't know anybody. Also financial. We didn't have anything saved up to move. Again, all we had was our last paychecks from the Friday before from both of our jobs, and we just got on the road literally applying for housing on the way here. So a lot of the challenges were kind of things that we created because we moved fast, but it's been beneficial since we moved here.
Wow, 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So as for, do you think that sometimes we get prolonged? Because one time I was in a situation and I know I was supposed to move, but it got delayed. Do you think you were seeking validation for man approval or for people to approve the move?
Yes, I definitely do. I think for me the move was more personal because I already was a young wife. So I think I was trying to prove, like, no, I really can do this. Like, I can be the woman he needs. We're going to show them. So I do think it was more like for man's approval when we finally forgot about the voices that was in our ear and stuff like that, and we decided to move. Things were really falling in line. Like, literally, like, I mean, we were getting jobs. We were interviewing. I interviewed for the job that I work now. I did one phone interview and was like, I'm moving. They was like, we want to hire you. They offered me more money and was willing to pay for at least 1 month of rent when we found a place. So things were really falling in line once we, stopped depending, not really depending, but really depending on proving people wrong and making sure it was right for people. And when we went after what we wanted and our timing, well, God's timing, but in the time that was comfortable for us, then things fell into place. And I'm kind of glad we didn't go in January. One, because if we would have went when we originally were telling people, it would have been more so like, oh no, we're really proving them wrong and we're going, and we would have jumped into something too quick.
Right. That's good. And to our listeners, that's a word by itself, like the right timing. And also just knowing, like, anything that's supposed to happen will happen. And it happened at the right time, and especially if it's something that you're supposed to do, everything's gonna start lining up. So that was powerful. And so, just again for the people that just tuning in, give us a call at 079-444-31366. We're tuning in live all the way from the United States. We have our special guest, Dejanay Stringfield. Also, Dejanay. So I know you said you're newly just married. Have you ever, if you don't mind talking about it, have you ever had any challenges with your marriage by stepping out on faith? Y'all don't have really no family in Atlanta. Like, did you ever have any challenges that you had to face in your marriage coming to Atlanta?
We faced a lot of challenges. Atlanta was definitely where we came from, was more so of like the slower paced area. So, you know, our families were very traditional. We got married the traditional way. We dated the traditional way, you know, trusting God. So when we came to a city where it was like college for us, yes, we had a lot of challenges, but nothing that we weren't equipped for. We learned in our challenges that communication, definitely is key in a marriage, especially because you're ever changing. Not just that our location changed, but now our preferences of what we seen change. So when your preferences change and what you see change, then your desires around you start to change. So you start saying, "Whoa, I liked her in a long skirt, but now I'm seeing, you know, I've never seen women in tights and little shorts and shirts. Maybe my desire is changing." So you have to always be open to communicating with your spouse, even having those hard conversations of, look, like, you know, this is what I thought I was liking before, but now I'm seeing this. You know, maybe I don't like when you speak like this. Like, maybe I need you, you know, put a little bass in your voice, you know, just as an example. But we did face a lot of challenges moving from a suburban area, very quiet, retired place. It's kind of like where our home is, to fast city. Like, Atlanta is never ending, fast. People, and it was very, very different on the both of us.
Right. So, when you got to Atlanta, would you say that, since like you struggled with validation in your hometown, did you struggle with validation? Did that something that carried with you in Atlanta? Did you, when you met new connections, did you feel like you were seeking validation in new connections, new people that you connected to?
You know, I didn't. Because moving out, I think that validation, when you're with your family, they have expectations on you because they know you. They know what your, not to say what your quality is, but they kind of know what you can handle, what you can't handle. You know, your family sometimes thinks that they know you better than yourself. So it's kind of harder to live up to expectations that people have on you. When you move, they don't have an expectation on you because they don't know you. So they really accept you for who you are. I'm really a talker and I'm loud. People were like, "I love that about you." Where at home they're like, "Okay, Dijane, you talk too much." Like, meeting new people, they love the parts of you that most people don't like because it's new to them. So it's like, "Oh my God, I met a new person and she talks a lot," which means she has no problem expressing her feelings. Where at home they're like, "Okay, you telling us too much. Like, you have to be careful what you say." So I feel like when you move out of your comfort zone and out of the box, that's anything outside of your comfort zone, you know, I feel like when you don't have an expectation on you, because now it's like, okay, these people aren't expecting Dejanay to be this, and this, because they don't know that I carry those qualities. So now I get to show them, and they get to learn to like and grow with me as I'm finding out the new things that I can do. So validation, I didn't even have that issue. Like, I actually remember telling my husband one day, like, "Oh my God, people here really like me." Like, you meet them and they're like, "Oh my God, I like your personality." Where at home they were like, "Okay, you give us too much. Like, are you really always happy?" Here they're like, "Oh my God, I love that you speak to us in the office in the morning." So it's kind of a different.
So so you felt like you kind of dimmed your light to make other people feel comfortable in your hometown?
Yes, always. Yes.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad you went through that transition as well. So let's get to the pain part. What was the worst thing you encountered in Atlanta?
I think the worst thing that I've encountered in Atlanta actually was losing um our baby. We ended up finding out that we were having a baby here, which was exciting and scary all at the same time, because we were like, we're having a baby. We don't know anyone, so who's going to babysit and help? But was having a normal.
I'm sorry to cut you off. This was going to be your first baby?
Yes, this was going to be both of our first baby.
Wow.
And we ended up losing her. I ended up delivering a baby that had already passed away. We found out at one of our visits that her heart had stopped, so they wanted to rush me to deliver. And when we delivered, she was gone. So that was probably one of the hardest things that I ever went through in my life.
Wow. So how did that like? What are some of the emotions? Because some people out there in the world struggle with that and probably don't know how to talk about it or be open or probably feel like they don't have anyone to talk to about it. Because like for example, if you're motivating somebody and trying to encourage somebody, like for example, let's say if me and you had a conversation, it'll kind of be hard for me to relate to you on that level if I never been through it. So
Mm-hmm.
it have many women out there that have gone through that process. And do you still have any kids, or you don't have any still?
We have not tried again yet. A lot of things that I faced when we first lost the baby. I think my biggest concern the day I delivered, unfortunately, now that I talk about it, I kind of laugh because you never know how much people influence your day to day. I was embarrassed. I ended up delivering a week before my baby shower. And I was really, really embarrassed. I didn't know, social media is popular. I know a lot of people that have babies that aren't married that were having babies without trying. So I was kind of thinking, what were people going to think of me? Like, am I less of a wife because I couldn't carry a baby? I did carry her till 7 months. But I didn't know people were going to think of me as being less. So my first emotions were people based. And I remember being in a dark place because of that.
Wow, wow. So you kind of felt like less of a. I get what you're saying. Less of a wife because you yeah. Wow, that's major. So what would you like say to motivate anyone that's out there that had a miscarriage and they don't have anyone to talk to, or they feel ashamed, they feel like they can't because I have heard someone talk about a similar situation, and it's sad, unfortunate they didn't have a child until their husband had passed away, and so I know a lot of times they went through several stages feeling like they were less than a wife, they felt less than a woman, because they just kept trying, kept trying, kept trying. What would be some encouragement that you could give to someone out there that's struggling to have a baby?
I would definitely tell them nothing is wrong with you. I thought something was wrong with me trying to have a baby. Definitely try again. God makes no mistakes. And honestly, when I lost the baby, I've learned more of me in that process because I was such in a dark place and no longer, because it is real. When you go through stuff, people don't check on you like you would check on them. Like I know a part of my feelings was like I could remember being there for people when they were losing their siblings or they lost a parent, and I was there, and I didn't have anything to say, but I was there.
Right.
When it was my time to go through, I literally was by myself. It was me and my husband. Of course, our mothers flew in, but it was just us. And with all the friends we have, no one reached out and things like that. So it definitely taught me that I had to then do some searching of Dijonay. Like, okay, why do you need people to wish their condolences on you when you have a husband? Like, I think after this it made us grow stronger because we then found out all the friends that we have and we hang out with, and sometimes we will put them before our needs, is really just us. So
Right.
I went through a lot of that, just learning me again. I had to figure out who I am now that I really am a mother, but I just don't have the evidence of it. I still went through all of the labor things. So everything that a mother goes through afterwards, postpartum, I went through postpartum. My hair broke out. Uh, my body expected that I had a baby. So I went through all of those feelings. So I had to channel myself through that without being angry when I went to a grocery store and I saw a baby and a mother, or on social media where somebody would comment and say, I wish my child would go to sleep. And then you angry like, well, I wish I had a child, to cry and go to sleep. So I think a lot of the challenges, I would definitely just tell somebody, find out, who you are. Allow your pain not to be a temporary, don't let it to be a permanent place, but find find the beauty in it. To me, I've learned that now I'm able to connect with people's feelings. Because of what I expected from me, I try to always offer that. I try to always be nice, because there were days when I did go into the bank after I had the baby and I was really mean. I was like mean. But so now it teaches me, like, okay, I can't be mean at the lady that's in the grocery store standing in the line behind me with no patience, because I really don't know what she's going through. Because I was that person too, picking up a prescription after I just carried a baby, and they didn't know that I was wheelchaired out of a hospital, not with a baby carrier, but with a teddy bear. So it definitely makes me more aware of my surroundings and just always being nice. And if I feel like somebody needs a hug and it looks like it, like, yes, I'm going to give you a hug, because those are things that I didn't get while I was going through. So I would definitely tell that mother that has a miscarriage, like, those dark days are not always. The dark days literally are as long as you want to be in a dark day, because I can remember after a certain amount of time, it was like, okay, I don't want to be like this no more. Let me open up the blinds, because there has to be more. Like, my child did pass away, but at least I was able to carry, because I do know people that struggle with IVF, and, you know, even though I lost her, you know, looking at the beauty of at least my body was able to produce something. So that's what I would definitely tell that mother.
That is brave, and that was some good advice and encouraging words. So I know you spoke on when you thought people was gonna reach out to you, and because you normally always reaching out to people, encouraging people, but when it was your turn, it was like y'all didn't really have nobody there for you when you was going through that miscarriage time. Did you ever blame yourself for people not reaching out to you?
I didn't, but I definitely blame them. I was very short with people. I was like, I didn't want to hear that you didn't have nothing to say, because I can remember when I was there for you, whether it was for a bill or anything, and I didn't have nothing to say. So if anything, with what I experienced with people have definitely helped me today. Now, before I was such a giver, and I was just always loving people, and if you called and said you were stuck on the road, I didn't ask no questions. I was there. Now, I don't rush to kind of help. Now it's like, okay, you know what? I can't stress myself out to please people, because at my darkest stage, when I didn't think I was going to make it to the next day, I didn't have nobody.
So would you say that's still holding on to rejection?
You know what? It could be, but it's like not in a bad place, because it's not that I'm angry with people. It's like that I've learned. You know how your mom used to always say when you were growing up, they're not your friend. I was that different, but like, she don't know what she talking about. She ain't never been through. You know, I was that kid that was like, yeah, they hurt me 3 times, but they just did that by mistake. They didn't mean it. But now that I actually went through stories that they were trying to protect me from, it's like, oh, I get the bigger picture now. I get it. Like, oh, that makes so much sense what they were saying.
Yeah,
so yeah, I don't think it's a rejection. It's like I finally opened my eyes.
Gotcha. Somebody was saying something.
Yeah. So do you think you just like you deal with people accordingly to where they are, or more of a like, I don't know, in my opinion, I'm looking at it like, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Like, you shouldn't let the stuff that you've been through and the way people treated you make you harden you to want to, treat people differently, as opposed to how you did do before. You didn't receive, because I think a lot of our expectations of other people will cause us to give less of ourselves.
And you know what? That is so true, because I went to a seminar, and the person, and this really helped me out a lot, and I knew that this was something, because I can remember when we got married, my husband's list was only 20, but mine was 280, and my husband was like, you know a lot of people, and I was like, I gotta include everybody, and I went to a seminar. And the seminar said there's nowhere, if we're supposed to go by the Bible, there's nowhere in the Bible where people are supposed to stop their day to see about you. then that is our expectation. And to me, I felt like this was a lesson that I had to learn people, because I always included them, even in my marriage. Like, my husband would say something and I would make a decision like, you said this, but let me run this through my friend because I value her opinion. And I feel like when this happened, this showed me that no, like, this is really just you and your husband. I feel like I needed to go through something that was going to show, because a lot of times we have our, I know for me, I married him because, you know, I loved him and stuff, but I still held on to like my friendship. So their opinions mattered and my mom's opinion mattered. And it was like I finally went through something where it was like showing that no, the only rock you need is who you vowed to love forever, who vowed to protect and cover you forever. And it gave me a chance to allow him to be the husband over both of us, because now we're both grieving. So it allowed me to see a more vulnerable him. And we had to really be there for each other. Nobody could come in and, you know, say something, you know, to me. Because, you know, sometimes when you have friends, you could be going through something, they say something, it changed your whole perspective. Like, oh, my God, yes, you're right. Maybe I should be feeling like this. But when I went through that, it kind of made me together. It made us together. So I don't think it's like a two wrongs, like I've hardened my heart. Because I love people. If anybody knows me, I love people. I speak to people. I feel like this situation made my husband and I closer. Like that we finally needed, and he's a mama's boy too. So it was something where it was like he had to really leave and cleave, because we really was the only people. A lot of people could say, I had a miscarriage before, I've been through this, but everybody's experience is different. So like even you could lose your mom and I could lose my mom, but how I grieve and how you grieve are different, even though it may have the same end result. So this was something that people could have gave us. They was giving us their experience. Like, you know, I only was grieving for 3 months, or, you know, this happened afterwards and we didn't experience that, but this was something that we both experienced together. So I think it wasn't meant for me, for the people per se. I think this was something that was really tested for us in our marriage.
Wow.
That's beautiful. Do you is there a reason? How first I want to ask, how long ago was it that happened?
A year ago. Our daughter would have just turned 1, so it's pretty new.
Do you is there a reason? Are you just waiting? Do y'all want to try again, or has it kind of put you on pause?
No. Just recently, I really just said that I think I'm ready to try again. Excited, like it's something new. It's a new year. I definitely think that I would want to try again.
That's awesome.
Have people ever you had another question, Jasmine?
No, I was just saying that was awesome.
Gotcha. Have people ever looked at you, because you know how some people look at certain situations like, oh, it's not a big deal because they never went through it. So have people ever downplayed the miscarriage to you, like, oh, that's not nothing, oh, that's like whatever, it's not a big deal? Have you ever experienced that, like people ever make it seem like it wasn't a big deal?
Oh yeah, my job. Yeah, my job, they made it seem like, oh, like you delivered a baby, so you'll be, I remember my boss saying, oh, so we can expect you in work next week. And we were like, no. But I think that was the only time. Most people were very, very, very sensitive, especially because, like, I really birthed a baby. And again, each stage of a miscarriage to me is the same, whether you lost them at 1 week pregnant or at 40 weeks full term. I think a miscarriage is a miscarriage, because especially as a mother, you connect and you're excited and you start connecting and your body starts changing. So a lot of people that I did encounter with, they were very inquisitive. They wanted to know what happened. How did you feel? And that actually kind of made me feel better when people forced me to talk. Because before, I was a person that kind of was like a private person. Like I did things in private. You always saw the happiness. But whether I was sad or, you know, and confused or whatever, I always showed people a happy person. But when people were asking me about the baby, I was crying. And, you know, it forced me to step into a place of like being emotional and sharing my feelings, which is what people really like. They like transparency. So It definitely spread. People would start recommending me to people. Like, I know somebody that lost a miscarriage, but they don't sound like you. They're still in the down. Can you talk to my friend, or things like that?
So that brings me to, and that was powerful what you just said, because a lot of people can't do that. So that brings me to a topic. This can be a debate because a lot of people think one way and other people think the other way. Do you think that term that people say "fake it till you make it"? What do you feel about that? Because some people feel like you should put on this character and you should look like, especially if you're an influencer or people look up to you, people feel like, oh, you need to hold it all together in front of people and then behind closed doors and then let your guard down and then cry. Or do you think you should show people and be transparent up front, and then like just be transparent throughout the process? Because some people, they'll hold it together and show one thing, but behind closed doors they're broken. And sometimes if we don't tell people, we're not okay, and sometimes it can cause deeper pain. What do you feel about the fake it till you make it? Do you believe in that? Do you don't believe in that? Like, what do you think about that?
It didn't work for me.
Because I know you mentioned, I didn't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry. I know you mentioned that you said smiling, and then when people come ask you something about it, and then you'll just break down crying.
Fake it till you make it didn't work for me in this situation, because I couldn't. When I walked out the house, you saw it on me. This wasn't a situation where I could mask a fake smile over it. I tried to smile and tears would come down. But what I did learn with me being so vulnerable with the world was that a lot of people can connect with defeat, which is really weird to say. Defeat is normal. A lot of people are used to, and it's really weird to say this, but a lot of people go through stuff, so like their expectation or anything is that it's not going to work. So a lot of people connect more with your defeat, with you going down, and unfortunately success and victory is not as common as when people go through, it seems like. So when I was sharing my story, it seemed like I was getting more of a response of me being where I was than when I was putting up or sharing people with like, oh yeah, I got a job. And people were like, oh, okay, like that's the victory for you. But when I was sharing like where I was, and that's like an example of like saying I got a job, but I didn't share with you like for 9 months that I didn't have a job and I was going through and nobody was calling me back, or I was interviewing. So when I got a job, people were like, oh, you got a job. But when you share with them like, oh my God, I got a job after 9 months of searching and no callbacks, and I finally got a job. So that's kind of how it was. It was like when I was sharing with where I actually was, it was more of like oh wow, we understand where you are. And then I showed them also when I had my better days. When I had my good days, I let you know, oh my God, I'm having a good day today. And especially for people that saw me the day before when I was crying, they was like, wow, they can identify more.
That's good. That is good. And you have a nice voice, by the way. I know you say your hometown people say you talk too much, but I love your voice.
Oh wow, thank you.
So as for the miscarriage, is there anything you're doing in the community for like mothers that went through the same thing? Did it stir something up inside of you that make you want to help other mothers? Like, have you thought about doing anything in the community for women that went through miscarriage or had a miscarriage?
Yes, I'm actually in the works of trying to get an organization together just so mothers can be aware. A lot of things that happened with me was because I simply did not know. So especially when it came down to like work, I never had a surgery before. I was perfectly fine. So I never knew about how to contact your HR and fill out the paperwork to be out. So I am trying to start something in my community, which is just the Layla Nicole Foundation, which would have been my daughter's name. And that's just to help mothers that are on bed rest. I was put on bed rest before I had lost Layla. You know, just to help mothers so that while you're on bed rest, you're not worried about if you're going to have a bed to sleep in. That you know that you can reach out to an organization and they'll provide groceries. And if your job hasn't approved your leave of absence yet, you know, a bill won't go behind. Because I know that was one of the things that I was worried about because I wasn't moving fast enough because I had never dealt with it. That you know, I didn't know, like, oh my goodness, you know, I'm on bed rest, but I can't really rest because I'm worried about bills getting paid and, you know, things lacking and, you know, waiting for the approval to show that like your leave of absence is approved for. So that is definitely what my target is, to start a Layla Nicole Foundation for mothers placed on bed rest and that have lost children.
Oh wow, that's powerful. And I know that will be a great organization because I never heard of an organization that does that. To be honest, I never heard of a support system. So that's like very huge. So keep us in the loop when you start that because that's major. And even like probably can get something set up. You doing virtual or whatever because that can be something that can be very big.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody needs somebody to talk to. Everybody needs some type of support system. And speaking on support system, like as of now, the transition that you're in today. First, let me back up. I know you said that you said her name is Layla Nicole,
Yes.
and you said she will be turning one. What month you supposed to have her is turning going on a year?
November. I had her in November.
Gotcha. So this year, so last year November a year, or this year be a year?
Last year November 2020 was a year. She turned a year.
How did you feel in November? Like, did you like any emotions come up, or were you emotional, or like how did you feel when November came?
You know, the whole week I had even took off work because I was like, I don't know how this day is going to go for me. I was nervous. So the morning that it came, the night before, I was up all night. Like, okay, how am I going to feel on this day? Am I going to be super emotional? Am I going to be super happy? On her birthday, first thing in the morning, around 6 o'clock, my phone was ringing. Well, 2. At like 11:50, I got a call from my best friend that was like, "Oh my God, I'm in labor." And I was like, "You're in labor?" Literally, she had her daughter, which is my new goddaughter, at 12:05. So that started the day. So I was like, okay, and that was AM. Then at around 6, I was still nervous, like how am I gonna feel? But I'm excited. I have this new baby. I'm excited. And then a friend of mine from my local church called and said one of my coworkers just had a C-section and she lost her baby. Can you talk to her now? And she was fresh out of the anesthesia. And I talked to her literally for like 3, and she cried. We talked, and I had kind of forgot what was going on. So it was all about her. So it was a good day.
That's good. So you was able to motivate somebody else, even in your storm, and even like so. That makes you a selfless person. That you remove yourself out the equation and thought about somebody else in their situation. So that I mean, you are doing a thing. I am proud of you. So what about your support system now? Do you have a support system to back up anything that you're like focusing on, and what business are you working? I know you said you're working on a book right now, and the Layla Nicole Foundation. Is this everything that you have going on right now? I know I asked like several questions at one time. I'm sorry. So
can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
So yeah, I do have support. I have, of course, we always have my mom, which is always a given. I have a few friends that are, have caught the vision and are willing to help. And that is all I actually have. I'm working on the book and the Layla Nicole Foundation.
Gotcha. That is perfect. Jasmine, you had a question? I thought I saw your hand.
Yeah, I wanted to ask. So, have things been better or worse within your marriage since the that traumatic experience that you both went through?
It has been a lot better. I mean, we are literally, it's like I'm dating the person that I met when we exchanged numbers. It's fun. It's funner, and it's just like, because we had to grow together. We were both in a place, a really bad place, and we had to both pull each other up. There were days where he had good days and I was having a bad day, and there was a day where I was having a good day and he was having a bad day, dealing with what we were expecting. So it has definitely made us, now we can have hard conversations about feelings, and it has definitely worked for us.
What advice would you give to other couples that are looking to get married and may have cold feet, or couples who are newly married who aren't exactly sure how to make it work?
That's a good question. Single.
I would definitely say, for one, enjoy you before you get married. Enjoy you. If you're looking to date and you're not dating, or you looking to marry, make sure you have mastered being able to be your own friend. Being confident in your dreams, being confident in who you are, because when you get together, I think a lot of times marriages become a strain, because a lot of people tell us, like, oh my God, when I got married, marriage in the world, like TV makes it seem like you get married, and because you got married, you become this awesome person. And I feel like a lot of times us normal people, we get married and we're expecting him to unlock these treasures that we never identified in ourselves from the beginning. So definitely spend time, be confident in you, be confident in your dreams, because what he's coming to do is enhance what's already there. If you don't know what's there, he has nothing to enhance. So definitely enjoy.
You better come on with that word.
Enjoy you. Make sure you're marrying your friend and not on looks and stuff, because I can definitely tell you, I've changed since we've got together. I've changed my hair color. I've cut my hair. I've gained weight. I've lost weight. We've been through job changes. So make sure I say, and actually a part of one of the inserts that I just wrote in my book is, make sure that you marry your friend, because a lot of times with a friend, as we just talked about, a friend can do you wrong and stuff, and you'll forgive her 50 times 50. But when your guy friend or your girlfriend does something wrong, you're ready to give them the boot. So you have to give them the same grace that you would give a friend. So if you make sure that you have a friend when you get married, that when things come, you're saying, oh my God, I can't talk to my friend this way because I'm going to hurt my friend's feelings. Or, I'm thinking about my friend, because not every day is a love story. There are some days where not the love fades, but you have to be rooted in your friend. So I would definitely say, make sure you guys are friends. Make sure you guys are confident and that you're both on the same page. If he says till death do you part, and I'm till death do us part, and we both have that agreement, that means that whatever comes our way, we're both standing on that. Nothing is going to break us. So that would be my advice.
That sounds like you got some old school values, because these new school people that's getting married, they ready to go. They ready to call a divorce quick.
So a question came in, but I don't know if it was a real question. They said, where can we find that friend?
You know what? I don't know, because I met my husband.
How did you meet? Where did y'all meet?
That's what I was about to say. So I met my husband, funny story. One of the girls from my church, we were younger. We were like 15. And, that's not old enough to do anything or go anywhere. So she was dating this guy. And her mom was like, well, you can't go to the movies unless Dijonay goes, because we were really close. So she told the guy, and he was like, well, I'm going to bring my brother. Long story short, the brother was my husband. And when I first met him, I thought he was really weird because, like, I guess the guy had like shared. Well, I could say it, my brother-in-law. At the time, I didn't know him. He had shared. She had sent him a few pictures of me, but I had never known anything about him. So when I met him, it was like he was already like liking me, like he was ready to exchange numbers. He was in our own personal date, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, sir. Like, I'm only here for her. Like, he was really ready.
Oh wow.
He was ready. So that's how we met.
So,
At least he was intentional.
so how long y'all was friends first?
Oh man, we were friends. Oh man, it was years. That was like when we were 15, and we were friends up until one day. I thought we were going to be friends. I honestly thought we were going to be best friends forever. Like, we would share everything. We would talk on the phone. We weren't dating. One day we went out to lunch, and he seen one of his high school friends, and he was like, man, something, meet my girlfriend. And I looked at him and was like, girlfriend? Like, it just played in my mind over and over, like, oh, girlfriend. And from that day on, I was his girlfriend. And that was like early in the game, because we didn't get married till we were 27. So that was over 11 years of dating, friendship, boyfriend, girlfriend, because we were only engaged for about 8 months.
Wow.
So that was 11 years.
That is amazing. Ooh. So since we right there at the halfway mark, so just to give everybody a recap, we are on Bless Radio on Unified Platform. Call in at 079-444-31366. Again, the number, call in at 079-444-31366. We coming from all the way from the United States of America. Your host, Shanenika Lachey, and we have Jasmine Lauren, co-host. Today, our special guest is Dijanae Stringfield. She is dropping straight knowledge and giving some good encouragement for you guys. And our topic today is beautiful pain. So we just gonna kick it off where we left off at, speaking about you being friends first before you and if y'all have any questions, call in with your questions, call in with your statements, even if you just have a statement, even if you want to just give an encouraging word or something that you want to let the speaker know how she made you feel, whatever it is, you're welcome to call in to whatever. So back to being friends first before marriage. Hold on, I got a question came in. How can you make a painful situation turn into a beautiful pain?
By just embracing the moment. Don't rush out of the moment. Feel it. Feel every emotion in that moment. Feel it. Talk about it. Talk to yourself about it. Because if you rush out of it, you'll miss the purpose. Sometimes while we're in pain, our purpose is revealed when our back is up against the wall, because you have to fight your way out. So I would definitely say making that painful experience beautiful by just embracing it. Look at the positives of it. To me, one of my positives is, with COVID going on now. Could I imagine having a 1-year-old in COVID, putting a mask on a 1-year-old? I try to look at the positives, instead of, always the negatives, what I went through. So definitely any situation, any painful situation, feel it, deal with it, and just find the beauty. Try to find some kind of positive in that, and it'll make the experience beautiful.
I hate to get off the topic. When is your what month you was born in, DJ?
September.
I should have known. You and Jasmine have a lot in common. You have a perfectionist type of spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so professional. I'm like the kind of like You know, Jasmine very positive. It's good to be positive. I'm the debating type. I always want to argue, have to have the last word, and like Jasmine's very like that too. Like everything positive. That's a good trait. Very good trait. I like to challenge people, and that's why I asked. I was like, she's just answering all these questions, just perfect.
I think it's good to have a good perspective too. When you're looking at something and try to, get the best from it. Dejanay, would you say that your faith has a lot to do with your perspective concerning things and the stuff that you go through?
Yes, my faith definitely has all to do with it. Because literally, I just trust God. So I definitely one of the things about being a Christian and carrying the Holy Spirit is long suffering. So it's like we're definitely going to suffer, but it's the beauty of suffering, knowing that the end result is always a better plan. My better plan could be when I have a baby this year is twins. I don't want that. But God always, he never takes something away from you and leave you empty handed or leave you wishing he should have gave it to you. It's always a better door, a better opportunity, a better moment ahead. You just have to get through your current moment. And for me, I remember telling my husband when we first went through, I was like, he was having a moment, and this was, I had, got together, and, I was feeling a lot better. And I remember telling him, I was like, you got to think, whenever the weatherman comes on the TV and says that there's a bad storm coming, it's always 9:01, and it says the storm is to last until 9:35. I said, and it could be the worst storm, but even the worst storm doesn't last long. So that's how I look at it. Even the worst storm, the worst that we could possibly going through, nothing is permanent. Nothing is going to last long. So that would be it.
Come on, Revelation on the storm, on the river. So I know you spoke on your faith and trusting God. So, but have you ever been scared to trust God? Because I'm gonna speak on myself. I recently spoke on this with my situation. I'm terrified. Probably I thought I was ready for marriage. Gonna find out I'm not. I thought I was. I thought I would be this perfect wife. I'm not ready. I know I'm not ready because it's some stuff that I'm not willing to give up to just because you know how some stuff you got to be able to compromise or whatever. I'm not ready to compromise some stuff. And so, but I looked at myself and realized that a lot of stuff that I'm not ready to fully let my guard down because I'm scared of getting hurt and the trauma of relationships that I had in past. And so it's like, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of, it's up and down because like I had this friend that did the most, overly the most of the most, and that was a turnoff because like I'm not used to somebody loving me that type of way, and so now it's like it was like too aggressive, and so I don't know. It just kind of like I'm still working on me and I had to go through my healing process because I realized that I wasn't ready. So have you ever went through like a stage that you felt like you were scared to trust God, like in this whole process?
No, because I think I trusted God. If anything, I showed him that I did trust him, because I can remember when I went to that doctor's appointment and they was like, we're not getting a heartbeat. We have to induce you. And literally when I went through that surgery, and I was telling my friend today, I said, if I didn't trust God, that moment of labor would have been so much worse. Because I trusted God, labor was smooth. Even though it hurt, I knew the end result was going to be something beneficial. And I said, even though the end result wasn't what I expected, I trusted God and I knew he was going to carry me through. So I definitely trust him, even when trusting him makes me look crazy. I trust him to the end, just knowing that if it doesn't work, there's always something better up the road, around the corner, in the next conversation. Something is always better. So I trust them.
Yeah, I commend you for that. That takes a lot of strength and power. I was doing some reading not too long ago with my daily reading, and I was, going through Job, and out of all the stuff that Job lost, I was just kind of like comparing myself and saying, okay, I could probably, deal with that. I could probably deal with that. But the only thing that I saw was the loss of a child. And I was just like, Lord, I just pray that that's something that I never have to go through, because I know it will probably like be the end of me. And I just, I hate that you went through that. And I just want to say, I commend you and I respect you a lot for pushing through and still keeping a positive mindset, because it's tough.
Oh, thank you. My favorite, speaking of Job, I remember I referenced Job when I was going through one day, and I can't remember what verse it is right now, but it said, and he lived. So after he lost everything, he went through all the emotions, his wife, kids, everything. It said that he lived. So that just showed, even though it didn't tell us what he was going to gain next yet, but he lived through it all. So that was definitely one of the things that helped me through. It was like, okay, if he just went through all of that and lived, and the scripture said, and it in that scripture it begins and said, and he lived. So yeah, you never know how much strength you have until you are at a place where you have to pull it from places you didn't even know you had it.
That's so true.
That is keep so faith in God.
Mm-hmm.
Have you okay, so in your marriage, have anybody ever came up against you in your marriage? Like, did you have anybody like disagree, or even if they was okay in the beginning, like on down the line, did you have like anybody like come up against you in your marriage?
Oh yeah. There were a lot of people that didn't think I was the one for him, or which I didn't understand what that meant. But yeah, there were a lot of people, families, that didn't think we were good for each other, or his family is my family is really put together. His is too, but I think I was a little too much for his side. Like, they're very like the calm and I'm kind of like loud. Super loud. I kind of speak what's on my mind, and they're not like that. So they definitely didn't think that I was the one. And since I've been together, I'm the only one that could deal and know my spouse. So before, we used to worry about the opinions of people. I think that's why it took us so long to get married, because we were worried about people were saying we're not ready. But when are you really ready to get married? That's like a baby. People always say, well, I don't have enough money. Well, you have a baby, like, you're never going to be completely saved up and prepared. So definitely people came up against us, but now, before we worried about it, now we so strong, we laugh at those people like, look at them, like, which is good. That's a long way from us, because before, we really valued those opinions. Like, I can remember people would tell me stuff and I would back up, and then people would tell him stuff about me and I would back up, and they would say like, well, I think this person will be nice, or this one or this one, and I would kind of like seek those other options. But we don't worry about that now.
Wow. And so I know you said they was saying that they didn't think you was like good for him. What I know you said you don't know why, but have you ever like thought of anything what it could have possibly been that people thought that you wasn't a good fit for him? Outside of you being loud, do you know anything that, or like, did any insecurities come about you thinking like could have been this, could have been that, or why they feel like you're not worthy enough to be with him?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely a spoiled brat. So like, he comes from a family where all the women like know the women stuff. Like, they know how to cook. They are like very domestic. Where me, I'm spoiled. I was the only child, the only girl, grandchild of like 20 boys. So I didn't even have to lift a finger. So I didn't know. I came in till this day. I still don't know how to really cook that much. I think it's more than boiling water now. I can boil some noodles. But it's still, yeah, so they didn't think that I was ready. Like, oh my gosh, she can't even do this, And of course, it was like, his mom was like used to taking care of him, and because they were very domestic. Where I didn't have that, it was like I made a phone call and it was done. And I tell him that now, like we laugh now, like I'm the best orderer you can think of. You got a taste for steak, we can order from a steak place. You got a taste for pasta, we can order from a pasta. I'm a great orderer. Like I specialize in that.
Is that a gift?
But that was a real big holdup at first. I remember we used to have a lot of arguments because his expectation was what he saw in his mom and his grandparents and his sisters. They were very domestic and stuff. And I'm like, look, if we gonna move, I'm gonna order some movers to come box up everything, and I'm gonna meet them at the house. Where he's used to like women being domestic, packing up the boxes, wrapping the glasses, and But it works for us, and that's one thing that I would tell people about marriage. One of the best advices that we ever got was every marriage that you saw before yours was done the wrong way. The only right way is how you do it. And you have to do what makes you comfortable. He knows that I can't cook. So if you force me to try to cook, then I'm always going to resent you cooking. Where you find what you like, I find what I like, and we come together. So that's how it works for us. He loves to cook. So I don't mess with him when he's in the kitchen until it's my night and I order. So that works for us.
Can he cook?
He can really cook. He really can cook. He can really cook. And he's had to learn because he knows I don't have the patience to stand in there. I'm scared of the grease. The water is too hot. When you cook, you got to focus a lot. And I'm just usually all over the place. And just, he likes that.
I got a comment. She said, you are lucky to have a good man. And I think we should appreciate them and give them a shout out.
Oh, yes. My husband, Darius, he is great. Great, great, great.
So, what's your biggest motivation, in your marriage?
Oh, that's a good question. My biggest motivation, and basically right now is just to work on leaving a legacy. I never knew how important that was until things like this started happening. Where we're starting. Of course, the United States, we're in the pandemic, so people are losing family members left and right, and families are leaving with nothing to remember their loved one of, and because they're not investing in after I leave. So I think my biggest motivation in my marriage is just working on something where we have memories, so that I'll have a lot of life memories and treasures, and not just an insurance policy, but I have him. So I think that's what my greatest motivation is. Just not knowing he could go outside to work today and come back and get COVID and not make it. So I want to be able to spend every moment just cherishing him, honoring him, laughing with him and things. Because with the pandemic, we just don't know.
Right.
So that's my biggest motivation.
That is awesome. Have you ever had like thoughts, and this kind of like off topic, by you being married to a black man, do you ever have any fear or anything come about?
Always. Whenever I'm in the car, I try to drive because I know my husband. He's a combative person because he will be the one to ask, why did I get pulled over instead of just accepting the ticket? So I'm always nervous. He's the one that's going to the store, and if the change ain't right, he gonna say something. So I'm very protective. So I call him all the time, like, did you make it to work? And he's like, I was in traffic. It's like, I'll put gas in your car because I don't want you to have to deal with the public because we just don't know. And then it's also the pressure of a black man is even harder because, what people don't realize that it's harder on them now. People, they're a threat. And my husband definitely doesn't look like, he will harm a fly. But just because of the skin of his color, he's a threat. Right. So, in the house, outside of our house, he has to fight not just on his job to prove, that he's more than, his skin color. But that's why I have to try to make our home a place for him to be himself and things like that, because he can't be himself in the world because he's known as a threat. So,
Wow.
have to make him comfortable and things like that.
Wow. So so I know you said at home. So do you work full time or you
Yes,
stay at
I work
full?
full time.
So what do you do?
I'm a contract analyst at an insurance company.
Oh wow. Wow. That is amazing. That's whew, you got it going on. I commend you and I salute you to be able to how do you balance all of that?
I honestly don't know. I try to sleep a lot so I don't have to deal with everything that I have to do.
So are you a part of an organization?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Are you a part of any organization?
No.
Gotcha. That is amazing. And so I know we spoke on marriage and the miscarriage. What about friends? Because you seem like the type of person that would have been that perfect friend that everybody wished they had, that type of friend. And I know you spoke on that you didn't really receive what you gave out. And so like what did you experience, like betrayal? Like what did you experience in like friendship wise?
Oh, I've definitely have experienced betrayal, and I think it's because I'm not a I don't really do well confronting issues. So a lot of friends, and I'm usually the person that I see the good in you, even if what I see is bad.
You sound like
So
Oh, you sound just like that.
so that kind of got me, me having a pure heart, was often mistaken for being fake or not, not being real or anything like that. So I had to beat through those it felt like I was always having to say like, no, I'm not fake. Like, I'm really happy today, or I really do love you and stuff like that. So when it comes to friendship, like the friendships that God has really given me since I lost Layla are people that understand me. Like, they understand when I'm down. They understand, why I add extra sugar in my Kool-Aid. And, I don't have to explain like, well, I'm trying to look for the taste that my grandma used to make. When I had old friends, these new friends that are assigned to me automatically get me. So I'm very appreciative. I definitely am not going through half the stuff that I was going through, back in my hometown with friends and, just always going place. Now I'm around people that want me around or consider me or things like that. Middle school was cool. I thought I was a basketball player. So I was on the basketball team and everything like that. So middle school was actually really good for me.
Did you ever you said what, Jasmine?
I said I caught it in middle school. It was terrible. My personality.
Did you ever have like moments where, because I know you talked about how you value people. So did it come a time like now or recently that you value your friends more than you value your relationship, or that's just something that you did in the past?
I value the friends that I have now. I value them. I love them. I talk about them all the time because this is just something new. I've never been around people that, even if they don't understand, they want to understand or they want to get to know you. And so I definitely do value the people and, who they are now, because now it's not like I was trying to understand them like I was at home and the people that failed me in relationships where I was working hard. Now I'm trying to understand because I'm trying to understand. Like, sometimes I say it's too good to be true. Like, you mean you really want me around? Like, oh my God, like you just called me out the blue to go to brunch? Like, that is so nice. And I know they think sometimes like you're being weird. And I always say like, y'all just don't understand. Like, I'm used to being the person that had to make the phone call and invite people and then say, oh, well, I'll pay if you go to brunch with me. Like, I'm not used to like people actually wanting me around for who I really am.
Wow. That's awesome. So did that make you, when you transition down here? Because sometimes if we feeling like we getting used, or we go through betrayal, or go through a lot in friendships, it'll make you kind of like shut down and kind of be standoffish, like kind of be in your little bubble. So do you think you're in a bubble right now, and that like, how to put it? Do you think you like more of kind of standoffish a little, and just kind of more laid back from what you have experienced in the past with different friendships?
Not now. I feel like I give them. I feel like I give them more.
Gotcha. You said what, Jasmine?
I said, yeah, but I figured out you weren't talking to me.
Oh. So that don't hit you?
Yeah, I'm in a bubble. I'm all in the bubble.
That is awesome. So what how did you get to that place? Because everybody's not able to just transition like that. So what encouraging words would you tell someone to? I understand, yes, we can say let our guards down, or we can say be open more, or we can say the tradition like advice, but like what some of the things, I understand we gotta let life play out itself, but what like some of the things like help you let go, or what some advice you can give to like accept new people, accept like these people are not like the last people, or these people are not going to hurt you like these last group of people, and not, don't compare these new people to the last people, because some people are stuck in their past trauma, and we can't even accept the people that God is putting in our path, because we so stuck on what the people that did to us in the past. So
and that's good. Good. That was real good. That was really good. And that's a good question too. I think that was really good.
Oh my God.
He's speechless. I think what helps me a lot is, for one, they hurt me really, really bad. So at this point it was like I might as well open myself up, because I can't get no more hurt. But I really started to, like, just recently, I've been starting to look into like PTSD, and realizing that it's in more areas of our lives than we think. And the reason why I would say it's in more areas of our lives, because a lot of times traumatic experiences change and alter how we deal with the next. It changes how we talk. Somebody say something and then we automatically remember or resemble a hurtful place. So when I started to acknowledge, like, my previous friendships, they really damaged me. It was like I remember what they did, and when I seen when I didn't see those similarities, because I kept saying, I don't want a friend like that. I don't want to go through that again. So that is how I measure my friendships. The moment I seen a resemblance of maybe, a he say, she say moment, I don't like drama. If I saw that, I automatically cut you off, where before my friends, I gave you chances and chances over and over. But these new friends, is like, because I was open-minded, and they really just like, I don't know if it's the Southern personality, but they really just like Dejanay. And it's really weird. So, and I say it all the time, like, wow, like, this is too good to be true. And I even bring up talking about my friends. And I remember my one friend said, sometimes when you bring them up, it's either you're reliving a moment in us. So it's like you're bringing them up because you want to see that result in us, and that is not us. But that's also not the case. So, I take it day by day with my friendships. I love these people. I learned to love again and trust again in my friends, and not, look at, just the bad things.
That's good. That is real good. Because I think we all have been there, done that. I think everybody have went through betrayal, and everybody can have their own stories on betrayal. But as for, I know you spoke on PTSD. Can you clarify that for some of the listeners that may not know what that is?
PTSD is post-trauma syndrome. Stress disorder.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes. So a lot of times when you see it, a lot of people associate that with like the military, like when you go to the military and they come back. But just recently, I just been starting to think like where it could fit into like our normal lives. And it's true. A lot of times with trauma, you get in an accident and, you may be a little iffy, but you'll go back and drive. But a lot of times people are so damaged that what we've gone through alters how we handle people or the next person. I went through something with my mom or, a former teacher or boyfriend, and when I get into a new relationship, the smell of him can trigger an emotion of hurt. The thought of him or the same car triggers. And so I think a lot of people are dealing with the PTSD and they don't even know it because they're calling it something else. So once you identify what your triggers are, and your hurts and stuff, and actually deal with those things, when the next person comes and maybe likes the same cologne as your offender or somebody that truly hurt you, you won't think about them, but you'll be embracing this new person.
That's good. That is
Yeah,
real
I
good.
agree. 'Cause a lot of people, they only think, it goes for people in the army or gunshot victims or, like something really bad. But I mean, we all deal with trauma differently. We all, stuff affects us differently. You can never put a value on one person's trauma and say how it didn't affect them. Because I know I got it, and I got it from a lot of emotional trauma, not physical.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely real.
We got a question came in. Jasmine, can you read that question? Because you know how my words come out. Because I'm country, you know.
Are there counselors for PTSD?
Yes, there are counselors for PTSD. I do know if you look into like your local insurance company or maybe use the internet to find a counselor nearby, they should be able to help you. Any counselor should be able to help you. I don't think that a PTSD counselor, like there's one just for that. I think if you go to a counselor and mention, you think you have PTSD, I think they should be able to help you.
Have you ever thought about doing like speaking engagements? You're very knowledgeable.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. I really just be waiting for the open door.
I think you and
someone
Darren
to ask me.
talk to some young couples.
Right.
No, I don't think my husband, he would be the one to play me. We would go and he wouldn't say anything and he would be like, she can answer.
Oh my God.
He's not as outspoken as I am. He's more of the shy type. So he would probably say, I think my wife can answer.
Wow.
So he'll be there though.
Yes.
That is awesome. As for your husband, I know you mentioned about music. What is he's doing with music right now?
Right now he just plays for our local church assembly. But he definitely is looking for a long-term career. He's a percussionist and a really good one too. So he's definitely looking for like maybe a band or traveling. He really wants to make it big.
That's
what he's doing.
Do you have any gifts?
The gift of gab. I think I can talk really well. That's about it. But I do have like some administrative skills. I did have a administrative consultant business. I'm kind of leaning towards not working on that as much and focusing more on the Layla Nicole Foundation. But I am an administrator. I love it. Paperwork, contracts, what my job is, a contract analyst. So I'm really, those are things that pull on my brain a lot. So I try not to do them after I clock out.
Okay.
Wow. As for back to like a recap for the listeners, because we got like 30 minutes left. Call in with your questions, your comment, statement, whatever it is at 079-444-31366. We are tuning in live on Bless Radio on Unified Platform. We coming all the way from United States. Your host today, Shanenika Lachey, co-host Jasmine Lauren. Today, our special guest is Dejanay Strengthfield, and we're speaking about beautiful pain. And if you missed the beginning of this show, you can always go back to blessradio1.com. You can always go back to the website to catch the full radio interview because it has been amazing. And if you missed it, go back and tune in on it. And it will be posted on the YouTube link as well. So back to Miss Dejanay. Tell us some more about, because you have a lot. You have a lot of knowledge. You have a lot of encouraging word. You have a lot of wisdom. Was you like raised up like old school tradition way? Because you have a old. How old are you? Matter of fact,
31.
31. You have an old soul. So was you raised like the old way, tradition way? I know you said you did a lot of traditional stuff, but was you raised off like based off like tradition?
I was. Unfortunately, my mom was a really young mother. My mom had me the September of her freshman year, so my mom was 14. So my grandparents, which was at that time, my mom was the baby that they didn't know they could have. So all of my mom brothers and sisters are really older. So my mom was that oops baby, and then I was the oops baby. So my grandparents, when I came along, they were retired. They were seasoned. They had been married at the time for about 40 years.
Oh, wow.
So they raised me. I think my mom says it now that they had a deal where if she continued to go to school, she still had to finish college, that they would raise me and take care of me. And they did that. So I was their baby for real. They were older. They were like in their 50s, 60s. So they were taking me everywhere. I learned from how they dealt with situations. I learned in conversation. They showed me a lot. Even though I was the only girl, like my grandmother, she didn't instill cooking and stuff like that in me. But as far as like how to be a woman, how to carry yourself, how to think more of yourself, and it's stuff that I went through. Then, my mom came home from school. I was a little bit older. And we both lived there. So we were kind of there like sisters. But, so yeah, I got a lot of old wisdom from her, from my grandmother and her sisters and stuff like that.
So I got a question. I know you said that you were spoiled. You was a brat. Did that, by you being spoiled, did that hinder you in life?
Oh, yeah. Because they didn't prepare me for the real world. Growing up, even in the school that I went to a good school, which my older cousins was there. We knew the principal was our family. So they had me thinking that everybody liked Dejanay, everybody was nice. And then when I hit the real world and I realized, whoa, people are really mean. They really don't like you for, who you are and stuff. So I don't think they prepared me for that side. I was used to making a phone call and things happen for me. When I got to the real world, I was like, no, you actually have to put in work here. Like, you actually have to do this. You actually have to do that. So, yeah, being spoiled and stuff, definitely, it was not cute. It was cute while it was going on. But after that, it was like, no, yes, you are sick. No, you don't get homemade soup. You're going to have to go get some Campbell's chicken noodle soup and heat it up for yourself. So yeah, it definitely hindered a lot of me. It didn't help me face reality. And even coming into a marriage, I thought my husband, because my uncles and stuff, when I started driving, they would pick my car up on a Sunday, fill it up, drop it back off, wash it, detail it. So that was one of the things I expected from my husband, which knowing that wasn't him. He didn't know how to, do the things that my uncles and stuff would do. So that was one of our compromises where I had to say, you know what, I'm expecting something from you, from someone else, and it's not you. Like, I can't make you conform into someone else when you are your own person.
Right.
And
so
I
you
take
like, You was like, well, since I can't cook, you can't change a tire. There we go.
Right, there we go. That's what I was about to say. And that's our compromise. Since you can't do this, but you can cook, I'll take a meal over gas. I can pump my own gas.
That makes a lot of sense because that's how I deal with certain situations as well. And we hurt ourselves once we put that false obligation or that false reality on that person. And how I had to deal with it is, okay, for example, I got several different friends and different friends for different type of stuff. Now you got this one friend that you can always depend on this friend, but you can't tell them nothing. You better not tell them nothing because they can't hold water. But once I get you out of that honesty or trustworthy, and once I start telling you my business, knowing that you cannot hold water, and then you don't went and told my business, I set myself up if you already don't show me that you're not capable of holding water.
Yes.
But then you got other friend over here that they are trustworthy, but you can't depend on them. And so if I'm putting these obligation assignments on you, knowing that you have showed me that, I'm setting myself up. So I feel like that was a great point that you made, because sometimes people show us what they're able to do. People show us what they're capable of doing. And sometimes we create this false reality and we want to make them do or make them be this person or make them be that person that we want them to be, when they don't have the capacity to be that person. So we set ourselves up to be let down because they don't have the capacity to be that.
That is true. We
have to normalize it's okay being you.
Yes.
We have to normalize that, because a lot of times if we're lacking something, sometimes we'll put that lack on that person and want them to fulfill what we're missing, fulfill something that we want, that they don't have the capacity to do that.
Right. So
that was a really good point that you made. And so it's almost time to wrap it up, but this have been a great topic. I even learned stuff as well from you. Keep going forth, keep doing what you're doing. I had some more questions regarding, because we're single. Jasmine.
Yeah, Dad's got a brother.
Yeah, he's married now. He's married now.
Oh, that's funny. I don't forgot the question I had. I thought I had wrote it. But as for what it is, let's see here. Is it any, like, okay, for example, with you being spoiled? Because that's what it is. So came back to it. As for, because it's a major debate about this whole spoiled thing. You know, some people say you shouldn't spoil your kids, and some people say you should. Why you should? Why not? So, my question is: do you think that we shouldn't spoil our kids? I'm trying to ask the question the right way. Some people say you shouldn't. Do you feel like people that say you shouldn't spoil your kids, is that coming from a poverty mindset? And I'll tell my point of view after you say your answer.
I think all kids deserve to be loved. I honestly, when it comes to your kids, I think it's your kids. If you have the money to spend on them, hey, spend it. To me, I think if you don't, then you shouldn't feel bad for not. Because I remember I just told my friend, she didn't feel like she was doing a good job as being a mother. And I said, but your son has a roof over his head, clean clothes, and food every day. And she was like, yes. I said, just because your neighbor across the street can afford to get different bikes and bicycles and the scooters and stuff like that, that doesn't make you less of a mother, because your son is really taken care of because his necessities are met. If you can, and I'm a believer, in my household, we didn't come up where that's like my husband and I, they grew up, I'm not going to say in poverty, but, they kind of struggled. We didn't. We lived in a nice house. We wasn't in the city. We lived good. So, they had the money to send me to school and nice sneakers and stuff like that. So I definitely believe that if you have the money to spend on your kids, spend on them. Do I think that you should spend on them and then teach them a lesson too? I definitely do. I remember Bill Cosby made did something, and he was showing the kids, like, with the Monopoly dollars, like, if you have $1,000 a month that you can if you have $1,000 a month, he broke it down like, well, this is what you will spend on rent, this is what you'll spend on this is what you'll spend on this. So you got expensive shoes and stuff now, but how are you gonna work that in your budget? And that was like, the little boy was like 12. So I think that's a lesson. But I honestly believe, hey, if you have the means to spoil your kid, at least teach them, like, you're blessed to wear this stuff because mommy can afford this. But don't look down on other kids who just have the basic sneakers or the basic shirt and stuff, because their mommy and daddy may not have it like us. So I would definitely instill that in them. But hey, spoil them. I plan on, when we do have a kid, whatever's on that Christmas list, they gonna get.
So I forgot. No, you finished.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that was it.
So as for, I know you said that y'all came from different background. You came from a wealthy side, and they and your husband kind of struggled a little bit. So my question is, how did you humble yourself? Because I'm sure you probably had struggled with pride, and you probably struggled with different, because that's natural. If you're coming from a family that always had it, never been an issue, money never been a problem, and then you going into a situation that's different, how were you able to humble yourself? Because that's hard for some women to do. Like, they'd be like, I'm not that, I ain't finna deal with that. So how did you, because that can encourage, and it can break something off some women in their marriage, because some women, especially an alpha female like myself, because I'm an alpha female, that was a struggle of mine, making myself come down some, and I'm like, I ain't gonna come down, and I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that. Well, he gotta bring this, and he gotta bring that, and then to the point I got, well, okay, well, I've been single a long time. Maybe I do need to try to, like, because everybody got their own perspective. Some people can say, well, y'all can end up building together. They can start out one way, and y'all can end up eventually building something together, and then they end up becoming a whole nother success bracket and end up passing you. So how did you humble yourself coming from that background, knowing that y'all always had it and money never been an issue, to coming into a situation that dealing with someone that came from a struggling background? If the question made any sense.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't humble myself. I remember when we first talked, he was like, well, I've never been here, or I never did this, or I never did that. So I always wanted to, show him stability, because he had, one of the things I remember him mentioning me was, my family and I, like, we always moved from place to place to place. Like, lights and stuff was always cut off and things like that. I never experienced that. So I felt to make sure he's never experienced that. He always experienced stability. He said he never went somewhere. I made sure that he went. Like, we was flying all over, vacationing, eating at nice places and stuff. So I didn't humble myself. I invited him into my world, which was because that was my friend. So not only was he my boyfriend, my spouse, then my husband, it was that he was someone I enjoyed being with. So I wanted him, and I kind of felt bad when he was telling me about his childhood and stuff. So I was doing over stuff to, like, I can remember his first birthday together. He had told us, I never had a birthday party before. And I was like, you never had a birthday party? My family got together and rented out this, like, hotel, had it decorated, catered. It was like 150 people. He was like, I don't even know half these people, but half of them was my family. And surprised him with a party, and he was like crying and stuff. So I didn't never humble myself. I just invited him into my world, which I love it, because I felt like I got to show him stability. I got to show him that even if you lose it, I know you've seen, you know, one parent lose, you know, their job and then y'all are just out. I wanted to show you that even if you're not the perfect person that you're going to be, that you got with someone that's always going to make sure you were straight. So I've taught him what my grandmother taught me. My grandmother taught me, in your bank account, you should always be two paychecks ahead in your bank account, because you never knew what was going to come. So I've been teaching him that, like, you know, always be 2 weeks ahead in your bank account, because at any moment something can happen and you don't want to be without. So I just started instilling what I've known and invited him into our world.
That is good and awesome, and I like how you answered that. But I also, that made me have another question. So, do you think that causes you to have a controlling spirit?
No, because he's still ahead of my household.
Got
No, I don't. At one point, I think when we were having rough times, I can remember one of the statements I had threw up was like, well, I do all of this. And then it was like, and when he said that, it made him feel bad. And I had to check my motives. Like, well, am I doing this to prove to your family that I'm good? Or am I doing this because I love you? So it made me research my heart. And it was like, no, Dijna, you're really doing this because you love this boy. You want to see him have the best. You want him to be an awesome father and, show, what we're going through. So it wasn't, to say like, and to your family, like, you did pick the right one. It really was because I loved you and my family loved you. And they were like, no, Darius is going on vacation with us. But that did make me feel controlled because I still respect him as the head of my house. And I'm a believer. I'm old school. So I believe if I got $1, you got $1.
Right. That's the. I'm sorry. You go, Jasmine.
I was just gonna say that's awesome. I know a lot of people in that situation would probably nitpick and just expect him to meet you where you are, but you showed him how because you knew that he hadn't experienced that. There was no possible way. I mean, if he did, he probably would have been reaching forever trying to get to that point, and you kind of met him where he was and showed him that there's a different way to live and there's a different way to do it. So,
and now he tried to fly more than me.
But I love how you answer that because sometimes even the word humbling becomes a debate topic because sometimes people say, oh, you need to humble yourself. When you make it to the top, you need to humble yourself. And people can look at it different ways. Yes, you should humble yourself, but at the same time, sometimes people want you to humble yourself because you're making them feel uncomfortable and they want you to dim your light to make them they want you to dim your light to make them feel comfortable. You should never dim your light to make somebody else feel comfortable. So sometimes people use the word out of context and say, oh, you need to humble yourself, but really trying to say, oh, you need to bring it down some. You need to come down some. And so it's just all about, like you said the perfect thing, your heart. You have to check your heart posture and check your heart. What your motive, motive behind it. Behind this, your reason behind that. And so nothing wrong with doing what you're doing. Nothing wrong with you don't have to come.
She did, though. I think she did humble herself and she's maybe not even aware of it. But she didn't come in with so many expectations as to you have to bring all this to the table. I was the one who was blessed to have these experiences. So let me introduce you to these same experiences instead of sitting back and saying, okay, you the man, on a high horse, or, my daddy and my granddaddy did this and da-da-da-da. So you need to meet me where I'm at, you taking time to, show him and be there. That is humbling, in itself. So
that's true. And so what advice would you give women that's, struggling in their marriage and struggling with the fact of because my thing is, sometimes we can give advice, but my thing is certain topics I won't touch on because I'm not married. So I'm not finna go out here and just tell a whole bunch of married people like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, or whatever. That's not my lane. Now, but it's certain stuff I might can say, but it's a lot of stuff I can't say because I'm not married. So what advice would you give to those marriage couples that's struggling in their marriage, or that wife that's struggling because she's that wife the head of the household? Not saying you're the head of the household, but I'm saying they're going through that transition. They haven't fully transitioned over. So right now they're in that process of, she's the head right now and she's looking out for him until he get on his feet, and then eventually the tables will turn and he will be the head of the household. So going through that process, what advice would you give that woman that's they're pulling all the strings, they're making everything happen? Because sometimes I can only imagine if, like, sometimes we can get drained, sometimes we can, because us women, especially us black women, we wear many hats, and so we can make it work no matter if no matter we feel like, oh, this too much, we make it do what it do. So what advice would you give that wife, that, because a lot of marriage are failing because of financial. A lot of marriages are failing because of financial stability, and then we're in this pandemic in America, or whatever. We're in this pandemic that's going on, and so a lot of women, even in UK is still on a shutdown, and so a lot of people can't go to work. A lot of people are not bringing home income because they're not working because this pandemic. So to that woman, to that wife, what encouraging words would you give them to stay strong in their marriage, even if they're the one that kind of seem like the head of the household right now?
I would say two things. I know for me, during the pandemic, my husband was one of the ones that lost his job as well. And what I remember is in the marriage, it doesn't say the husband always is going to be on top, because how do you think he feels when the wife, because it's always, the burden is always on the husband and to be the provider and stuff. Well, how do you think the husband would feel if the wife loses a job? And your vows say for better or for worse. So he can be low today and you can be up today, but when he goes back to work, the same thing can happen to you. So I always, extend the same grace that I would want him to make me feel. I'm not going to make him feel uncomfortable because he lost a job, because what if 5 years down the line is me? So, that's what I always try to remember whenever I deal with my husband now, is that, well, he's not down now. He has a job now. But even with, anything, like, it's him tomorrow or me tomorrow, but it can switch because this is forever. So nothing is permanent. There's no job that you're probably going to stay on for 60 years. So, transition, that's a marriage. And, I feel like a lot of young couples don't really realize that we transition every day. Every day you grow, everything, new desire. So that means that nothing stays the same. Nothing stays still. Everything keeps moving. So even our looks, our hair, everything. So you just have to remember your vows, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, and sickness and in health. So that means whether it's his job today and me with cancer tomorrow, I'm not going to be mean for him today, and then I can be sick and he's mean. Like, oh my God, you're in the hospital again. Like that's not fair. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's your vows. And again, you made your vows to God. So even I have to treat him right because I made a promise to God that I would treat him right. And I feel like a lot of couples forget that. They look at their spouse like this is my husband, but you gotta remember, like, your vows are to God. Like, this is the God, I promise you that in sickness and in health, I'm gonna love this man till death do us part, so, and he's saying the same thing, whether she rich or poor, ugly or pretty, big or fat, like, I'm going to love her. So I think that's what you have to realize, your vows and what you made your vows to. And if you ever feel strength, I know I caught my husband reading his vows one day. So if you got to gain strength in the areas where you're weak, pull your vows out. Because again, I know it's a pandemic, and when we were down, here, I'm not sure how it was in the UK, but the unemployment had even stopped. So he was out of a job, but unemployment was so backed up and things like that, he didn't get unemployment for like 3-4 months. But wow. I didn't make him feel bad, because at any moment, even though I work for home, I work for insurance companies. So if people are out of work, how are they paying for their insurance? So it could have been me at any moment. So I just tried to extend the same grace that I would want him to extend me if I was down at that time as well. So we didn't miss a meal. I ordered out. I did a good job, or
You know it.
we ordered, we washed our clothes, and maybe during the pandemic, things have lacked, like I'm not getting our nail, staying up. But as long as you really have clothes, clean clothes and stuff like that, y'all can work together because God put you together as one. So as long as y'all are together as one, you are a force to be reckoned with. We're great single, but together you're a force. So always look for that in your marriage. So that's what I would tell anybody. Remember your vows, extend the same grace to your spouse as if it's you and you lost your job, or you're sick, or you're having a bad day. See what your spouse was feeling, and speak them as accordingly. How would you want to feel if you had a really bad day from work? Would you want to come in the house and your spouse nagging to you about something you can't control? No, so don't do it to them.
That's good. Jasmine, you had a question?
No.
Oh, okay. I saw they had your hand raised. And so we're down to the last 5 minutes of the show. I want to thank you guys for tuning in on Unified Platform on Blessed Radio. We are coming from United States of America. And so today our special guest was Dejanay Stringfield. She talked about beautiful pain. She did an amazing job. And we thank all the listeners, all the viewers that tuned in, and even the ones that going to go catch the replay and going to go back and listen to the replay, because it's also will be online on YouTube, and you can also catch it on blessradio1.com. So we thank y'all for tuning in. And any closing words that you want to say, Jasmine and Dejanay?
Well, I just want to say I learned a lot. I thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experiences, sharing your perspective and your wisdom. I think you are a great advocate for, anyone who's trying to get married, or anyone who's, gone through something as traumatic as you have, and coming out on top and turning your pain into something so beautiful. I think y'all are going to be wonderful parents. And, I just wish you blessings going forth and everything that you endeavor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys for inviting me on. I really had a good time.
You're welcome. Any words you have, blessed?
No.
I'm not blessed. I was trying to bless at anything.
No, it's lovely to hear your guest today. It's absolutely inspiring, she was. And thank you very much for coming on and enlightening us with your experience, really. It's really good to hear that. It's nice when you hear couples say that they love each other and they're standing by each other and they're going to make it work. This is what you want to hear. This is what you want the youngsters to understand, that, you can be together thick and thin, money or no money. If you want to be together, you can be together. And it was nice to hear that from her. And I quite enjoyed it, to be honest with you. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
You're welcome, my dear.
I enjoyed it myself, and I also learned a lot, and I got some work I need to do.
Yeah.
As preparing myself, while I'm preparing myself for marriage, because that is a struggle. I'm just now starting to let my guard down, and so it's a process. It's a little
it's
emotional.
a compromise. Whether we like it or not, really. You know what? She's right. She's so right when she says something. She goes, if a guy comes home, right, and you're nagging at him, we have to understand where we are wrong. We pick that up, and it's not fair. Why should he be the always one that has to pick up everything? Why can't we pick it up?
Right.
And sometimes it's nice. It's sometimes good for the guys, because guys don't open up and speak up as much as we do. That's the way I see it. We go out there and say it as it is, but men find it very difficult to speak up.
Yes. And it's so true, because it is a lot. I can only imagine being a black man. It's a lot of pressure. Like she said, it really got to what she said. She goes, I'd rather him sit in the car and I go face the world, because she knows as a black man what's happening in America is dangerous. She's constantly calling him, not because she's nagging him, but she's worried about him. She knows what's going on out there. And it's true, but she's ready to put herself up, because it is different when a woman goes out. We do get treated differently, but when a black guy goes out, it is different.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
so true.
Good on you. Good on you. And I'm glad a lot of viewers out there listen to this and can understand that you can still be together with your partner and you can make it work. It's about compromising, Shanika, and letting your guards down. Sometimes you have to say, "I'm letting go of certain things to be with someone."
I'm working on it. I'm currently in a situation right now it's very different. It's got me turning a little soft. I'm the little hardcore. Don't cry. Don't be emotional. Not connected to my
Nah,
emotions.
yeah, no, we women are emotional, Shanika.
I
You
know.
gotta
I
let your
know.
guards down.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I got it. I'm getting into my little emotional side, and so you gotta be careful what you pray for. 'Cause I said this year I'm gonna be more sensitive. I said God made me a little more sensitive this year, and that's what He's doing. So you
Okay,
know, I don't like it, but we're gonna deal with it. It's a good thing. So,
good.
but I thank you all for tuning in. Again, you can catch the replay on blessradio1.com. Thank you for tuning in on Unified Platform on Bless Radio. And we enjoyed you guys, and y'all have a good one.
Thank you. See you
Thank
next week.
you.
Yes, Shanika. See you next week, Shanika.
All right, y'all have a good one.
You too. Take it easy. Bye.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.